Hello everyone, welcome back to Coffee Crime with Doncha, episode number 7. I am so happy you are tuning in today. So again, grab your favorite mug and let's take a breath together. Today I am drinking iced hazelnut latte with oat milk, and it's honestly giving me a life today because I'm really tired. So before we jump into today's case, here is a quick housekeeping reminder. If you love spending your time with me, diving into these deeply human true crime stories, please take 2 seconds to hit that follow or subscribe button or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. Leaving a 5-star rating or quick review helps our podcast reach so many more listeners, and I appreciate every single one of you. Today we are traveling to Europe, again specifically to a city of Geneva in Switzerland. We will be looking into a heartbreaking, ongoing international missing child case. Before we dive in, here is your trigger warning. This episode discusses parental abduction, child disappearance, psychological instability, emotional trauma, and failures by social services and courts. If any of these topics are heavy for you today, please feel free to take care of yourself and skip this episode. Your mental well-being always come first. Also, I want to mention that English is not my first language, so please be kind to me. And also, I didn't find so many information about this case because this case wasn't very public at the moment. So if you have any more information to this case, please write down to the comment section. All right, let's get into it. So when we think of Geneva, Switzerland, we usually picture quiet streets along Lake Geneva, snowy Alps in the background, international diplomats, high-end watchmakers, and absolute safety. It feels like a perfect place where nothing bad could ever happen. In Geneva lived a father named Olivier Wasem. Olivier was a dedicated, loving family man who worked hard to build a peaceful life. On December 12, 2013, his life changed forever because his daughter was born. He named her Grace-Victoria. Olivier described Grace-Victoria's name as a cherished melody in his home. Grace-Victoria was a delicate, cute little girl with bright blonde hair and striking blue eyes that she inherited directly from her father. Everyone who met her described her as a deeply creative, gentle child who loved drawing, making art, and filling her parents' home with laughter. Olivier and his ex-wife, a woman named Radoslava Mileva, who also went by a nickname Raya, initially shared custody of little Grace-Victoria after their relationship ended. Like many divorced parents, they agreed on joint legal custody. But behind the scenes, Raya was struggling with psychological instability. As Grace-Victoria grew from a toddler into a school-aged girl, Raya's behavior became increasingly erratic, paranoia began to set in, and the co-parenting relationship fell down rapidly. Olivier keeps a thick blue notebook on his desk. Almost every single day since she disappeared, Olivier opens the diary and writes a personal letter to Grace-Victoria. He tells her about his day, he tells her how much he loves her, and he writes down every memory so that when she finally comes home, she will know that not a single day went by where her daddy didn't speak to her in his heart. Olivier told reporters, quote, "I write to my daughter almost every day. It's my way of staying connected with her even if she can't answer me. People tell me Don't worry, she's with her mother. But that's precisely what terrifies me the most. End quote. Now, let me take you back to June 2019 because this is where everything escalated. June 2019 was the very last time Olivier Wasem ever held his daughter in his arms. It was a warm summer afternoon in Geneva. Olivier was standing outside Grace-Victoria's elementary school, waited for the bell to ring. Little 5-year-old Grace-Victoria came running out of the school gate, saw her dad, sprinted into his arms, and threw her arms around his neck in a huge, warm hug. Olivier later said, "When I look back on that moment, I can still feel the warmth of her little body against mine." He had no idea that hug outside the school gates would be his last. Right after the day in June 2019, Raya completely cut off all contact. Despite court orders granting Olivier shared custody and visitation rights, Raya refused to let Olivier see Grace-Victoria. She kept the girl hidden at home, stopped answering calls, and blocked him at every turn. Olivier was caught in an agonizing dilemma. He didn't want to create violent drama or traumatize Grace-Victoria by forcing his way in with police. Instead, he did what any law-abiding citizen is supposed to do. He reported visitation denial to the Geneva Family Court and Geneva Child Social Services. What followed in early 2020 is a textbook example of how legal bureaucracy and slow system can lead to a catastrophe. In January 2020, after investigating the home environment and reviewing psychological evaluation of the mother, Swiss social services reached a drastic conclusion. They officially recommended to the court that Raya should be completely stripped of her parental custody and full custody should be awarded immediately to the father, Olivier Wasem, due to Raya's psychological instability and the risk to the child. This was a massive, urgent warning sign from child welfare experts. So what did the Geneva court do? Did they issue an emergency protection order the next morning? Of course not. They scheduled court hearings and let paperwork sit on their desk for weeks. In late February 2020, Raya somehow got wind that the court was about to officially strip her of the custody. Realizing that she was about to lose legal control over Grace-Victoria, Raya packed up her belongings, grabbed 7-year-old Grace-Victoria and fled Geneva. On February 28, 2020, Grace-Victoria and Raya vanished without a trace. 5 days after they vanished, on March 4, 2020, the Geneva court officially handed down its verdict, stripping Raya of custody and granting sole legal custody to Olivier Wasem. The legal victory Olivier had fought for months to achieve was finally on paper, but it was entirely meaningless because his daughter was already gone. Olivier was furious and heartbroken. He publicly criticized the Geneva judicial system, saying, "If the court had acted faster on the social service recommendation from January, my child will still be here with me today." When Swiss journalists contacted the Geneva Ministry of Justice to ask why there was such a fatal delay and why emergency measures weren't taken in January, officials hid behind legal confidentiality, refusing to comment on this case. From that moment on, Raya became an international fugitive. An international arrest warrant was issued for Raya for parental abduction and child abduction under Interpol and European law enforcement networks. Police search border crossing, airports and train stations across Switzerland, France and Eastern Europe. But Raya had a 5-day head start. She turned off mobile phones, closed bank accounts, and dropped completely off the grid. As the weeks turned into months, Olivier found himself plugged into a nightmare that every parent dreads. In Switzerland, when an adult goes missing or a parent abducts a child, parents are often left to navigate a terrifying bureaucratic maze alone. Because of that, Olivier turned to Missing Children Switzerland, to only non-governmental organization in Switzerland dedicated to supporting mothers and fathers of missing children. Lucy Zinetti, spokeswoman for Missing Children Switzerland, publicly had highlighted the systematic problems in this country. She stated that while cooperation with the individual police office is good, Switzerland severely lacked structural support system, clear protocols, and emergency task forces specifically designed to help families in parental abduction cases. Olivier described the daily nightmare in an interview. When your child disappears, only chaos remains. As a normal citizen, you don't get far because you don't even know what to do. If I only constantly push, if I don't do something every single day, nothing happens. You are completely on your own, not knowing where she is or even if she is still alive. It is absolute worst torture. Think about that phrase, guys. Not knowing is the worst torture. Is Grace-Victoria attending school under a fake name in another country? Is she isolated in an apartment, forbidden from going outside? Does she know her father is frantically searching for her every single second? As years passed, Olivier refused to let Grace-Victoria's name be forgotten. He took his fight online, utilizing social media, media interviews, and professional networks like LinkedIn or Facebook to broadcast his plea to the world. Also, in April 2024, precisely more than 100 days after he had last saw his daughter, Olivier posted a deeply moving public letter on his LinkedIn. His post reached thousands of people across Europe, generating thousands of shares. Olivier's message was clear. Someone somewhere in Europe or beyond knows where Radoslava Raya is living today. Someone has seen his mother and the daughter with blonde blue eye, who is now an older child. So where could Raya and Grace-Victoria be today? Investigators and private search networks have looked into several possibilities. So possibility number 1, Eastern Europe and Bulgaria. Raya has roots and connections in Eastern Europe. Investigators suspect she may have crossed borders into Eastern Europe using false identification documents or relying on family networks to shelter her from Swiss authorities. Possibility number 2, neighboring border countries. Geneva is surrounded on 3 sides by France. Crossing from Geneva into France takes literally 2 minutes by foot or car with 0 border checks under the Schengen area. From France disappearing into rural communities or moving across European borders without detection is terrifyingly easy. And possibility number 3, living under alias or homeschooling. Because an international warrant is active, Grace-Victoria cannot easily be enrolled in a public school or registered at official medical clinics under her real name without triggering alert systems. This raises a deep concern about whether Grace-Victoria is receiving proper education and healthcare. Despite these terrifying possibilities, Olivier refuses to allow himself to fall into despair. He later told reporters, "Giving up to despair was never an option for me. My greatest motivation is hope. I have to stay strong. When Grace-Victoria finally comes home, I want her to find a happy, strong dad, not a broken man." Oh, guys, this is broken. This is breaking my heart reading this. And this is also where our community comes in. True crime and missing persons podcasts have helped solve cases across international borders before, and we can do it again together. So let's review the key identifying details. Missing child is called Grace-Victoria Wasem. Her date of birth is December 12, 2013. She was born in Geneva in Switzerland. The date of disappearance is February 28, 2020. At that time, she was 7 years old. That means that today she will be approximately 12 or 13 years old. She had light blonde hair, striking blue eyes, and slender build. She was abducted by her mother, Radoslava Raya Mileva. So she was described as a woman in her 40s or 50s, Eastern European origin, and she is also under international Interpol arrest warrant. If you live in Switzerland, France, Germany, Bulgaria, or anywhere across Europe, please keep these names in your mind. If you suspect you know a woman named Raya Mileva living with a young girl who fits Grace-Victoria's description, please do not hesitate. Contact your local police department, Swiss law enforcement, or reach out to Missing Children Switzerland. Even the smallest tip, a sighting at the community center or a shared post on social media, could be the spark that reunites this loving father with his daughter. Of course, it could also be that the mother and the child have another name. It is really helpful if you could also see the picture of them. Oh, guys, holding those tiny cat slippers in his lap and writing in that blue diary every single day for over 4 years. Olivier's story is a testament to this unconditional, unbreakable love of parent. I want to hear your thoughts on this case. How do you feel about the court delays in Geneva? What can we do to improve international alert system for missing children? Let's talk in the comments on this case. Also, please take a moment right now to share this episode on Instagram stories, Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitter, everywhere. The more eyes and ears on Grace-Victoria's story, the higher the chance someone recognizes her. Don't forget to hit follow, leave 5-star rating, and keep my podcast growing. It is very important to share these stories. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Be kind to one another. Hold your children close. Keep your coffee warm. And I will see you next week for episode number 8. Bye.